480 BCE, the largest army the world has ever seen marches toward Greece. At its head, Xerxes, king of kings, absolute ruler of an empire stretching from Egypt to India. Standing against him, a man who lives on a city street with his wife and children. He holds no military rank, commands no troops, cannot force a single person to do anything. When aristocrats mocked him for lacking a gentleman's refinements, he replied, "I cannot play a lyre or tune a harp, but I know how to make a small city great." His name was Themistocles. He would prove the most dangerous man Xerxes ever faced. That confidence wasn't arrogance. It was rooted in a quality the Greeks prized above almost everything else. Consider the full scale of this mismatch. Xerxes commands from Sardis, surrounded by millions of subjects, with authority to order any action without debate. His word is law across 23 provinces. Themistocles is an ordinary Athenian citizen, modest inheritance, no aristocratic standing. He can accomplish nothing except by walking into the democratic assembly and persuading his fellow citizens with words. To the Persians, this looked pathetic. A generation earlier, Cyrus the Great, founder of the Persian Empire, first encountered Greek city-states and sneered at their customs. He dismissed them as men who merely set aside a space in the center of their city where they make speeches and cheat each other. Speech-making and the trickery, that was all the mighty Persian Empire saw when it looked at Greece. What Cyrus called weakness, the Greeks called something else entirely. They called it Metis. Metis, cunning intelligence, the ability to identify hidden points of leverage where enormous forces can be redirected through craft rather than brute strength. There's no precise English equivalent. It encompasses strategic cleverness, adaptive thinking, and the instinct for finding the fulcrum in any situation. Think of a lever. A small force applied at exactly the right point moves a weight no amount of direct pushing could budge, and that is Metis, not mere trickery, not deception. Structural intelligence. The capacity to read a complex situation and apply precisely calibrated effort to redirect far larger forces. This idea ran deep in Greek culture, all the way back to Homer. In the Iliad, old King Nestor advises his son before a chariot race. The son's horses are slower than the competition's. Nestor doesn't say get faster horses, he says use art. It is not strength but art that wins the prize. To be strong is less than to be wise. Nestor extends the lesson with two more images. The woodman shapes stubborn oaks through dexterity, not force. The pilot steers through a storm through skill, not muscle. Three metaphors, charioteer, woodsman, pilot, all converging on one principle. Intelligence applied at the right point defeats raw power. And the Greeks didn't leave this as poetry. They built an actual machine that embodied the philosophy. The trireme, a Greek warship powered by 170 oarsmen arranged in 3 tiers, 200 men packed into a single vessel, 170 at the oars, 30 more working rigging and prepared for combat. All that raw human power, and the fate of the entire ship rests on one man at the steering oars. The helmsman, he doesn't overpower the rowers, he doesn't row harder than anyone else, he reads the sea, reads the enemy, and through 2 wooden oars at the stern directs the combined labor of 200 men toward a single purpose. A small shift of the rudder produces an enormous change in direction. One intelligence leveraging the energy of many, that is Metis made physical. This is the warship Themistocles chose as Athens' weapon against Persia, persuading the assembly to build 200 of them with silver from a lucky mine strike at Lorient. But the trireme wasn't the deepest expression of Metis. Themistocles himself was. Here is the paradox at the heart of this story. Themistocles' need to persuade rather than command, the very thing that looked like weakness, was itself a form of Metis. Democratic persuasion is leverage the ability to align the energies of thousands of free citizens toward a common purpose, not through coercion, but through craft. Xerxes could command obedience, but obedience under autocratic rule is brittle. One bad order from the top shatters the whole structure. Themistocles had to earn alignment, which made it far more resilient. When external pressure hits coerced obedience, it cracks. When it hits earned commitment, it bends and holds. The helmsman metaphor scales up perfectly. Themistocles wasn't steering a ship, he was steering a city. Two fundamentally different models of power faced each other in 480 BCE. The Persian model, a vertical pyramid, one ruler at the top, downward arrows of command, passive obedience below, power flows in one direction only. The Greek model, a network. A strategist at the center connected to citizens by bidirectional persuasion. Power circulates. When external force strikes the pyramid, it cracks from the top down. When it strikes the network flexes and redistributes. The Persian system assumed history moves by the will of one powerful ruler commanding vast resources. The Greek tradition held that one intelligent individual, working through persuasion and craft, could redirect the course of events, even against overwhelming force. This wasn't just one man's strategy. It was a civilization's philosophy of power, and it was about to be tested. At every level, from the helmsman steering the trireme to the statesman steering the assembly to the commander choosing where and how to fight, the Greeks sought leverage over force. This is what Cyrus the Great failed to grasp. The speeches and cheating he mocked were not signs of weakness. They were the marks of a civilization that had learned to multiply human efforts through intelligence. Metis was Greece's decisive advantage, not bronze, not numbers, not geography. Craft. Themistocles could not play a lyre, he could not tune a harp, but he could tune a city and a civilization toward its greatest hour. The question facing Greece was never whether they had enough strength. The question was whether they had enough art. At Salamis, that question would be answered, but by craft over force, by Metis over might,